This is a gift guide for procrastinators. So these are very quick, easy to make, last minute knitted gifts for people like me. Maybe you planned on knitting a lot of your gifts this year and one day you woke up and it was like mid-December and here you are watching this. So I got you, this is a list of things that I think would be pretty quick, easy projects to do, but still like show that you care. So I broke them out into a few different categories: accessories, home goods, ornaments, last minute clothing, and like miscellaneous things and jewelry. So, okay, here we go. I have some ideas for if you really did want to give something clothing related and you just run out of time. I think there's a couple of really like quick last minute ways that you can still give a nice gift. So the first one is giving a swatch of the future project. Like if you already had your heart set on making something for someone and you think you just won't finish in time for Christmas, or you like know that you want to work with them on getting the measurements and picking it out, etc. I think giving a physical gauge swatch of the texture and or yarn that you want to make the thing in would be a really nice like symbolic pre-gift for the thing that you haven't finished in time to give to them. So it's like still gives them something to unwrap, something to look forward to. It just feels like more solid than kind of waving your hands and being like, oh, I swear I was gonna make you something, but I ran out of time. I think it just shows like a nice intentionality, and it's like a little IOU that is almost like a little piece of their future clothing item itself. And I also really like the idea of giving this as like a symbolic thing that they can open and unwrap, but then actually working with them to figure out like what are their measurements, what are their fit preferences. You can like pick out a pattern together, you can pick out yarn together, but you're giving them like a physical, tangible, symbolic promise of that future sweater. So I think that's a really cute idea. Another thing you could do is buy an already made like beanie, scarf, socks, sweater, whatever it is, from thrift store, consignment store, vintage shop, and then use yarn or thread to embroider on top of it. So with yarn, at least, you could do like chain stitch, you could do duplicate stitch to make it look like it's like embedded within the actual knit itself. And you could personalize it. You could like put their name, you could put a little drawing of like their pet or something that they love. You could put an inside joke, like you could put anything that just feels really personal to them. I think that a lot of knitters and crafters end up feeling like they need to like do it all from scratch themselves, because if you're used to making your own clothes, it feels like cheating to just like buy something pre-made and then embellish it. But for people who don't craft or DIY, I think they would be so impressed by that. And it lets you give them a really personal gift without having needed to start it like however many months before. I think this is honestly maybe a better category to give in general than garments, even if you like would have made a garment if you had more time, because you don't have to know someone's measurements as precisely. And also I feel like people's personal styles are often a little bit more flexible when it comes to accessories, because like, let's say you only tend to wear all black, a bright accessory that isn't 100% your style is like easier to work in with the rest of your wardrobe, in my opinion. And it's like a less time investment if you don't know that this will for sure be someone's style. A really easy one is headbands. I think knit headbands and like wide headbands in general have been really cute and trendy for the last couple of years. You could do this so basic, literally just like bulky yarn, do some ribbing, and you don't have to do any increases or decreases or anything. Just like you can knit it flat and then just sew it together at the bottom at the end. That's a super easy version. You could do double knitting, which makes a double thick fabric. I've made a YouTube tutorial for how to do like a double knit headband. A nice thing about that for me is if you do it all in one solid color, you can actually switch to knitting in the round after you like set up the very beginning of it. And I knit a lot faster in the round, so that goes super, super fast for me. It's also nice that it's like a little bit more functional because double thick knitting actually helps keep out the wind. You can also get creative and like embroider on top of it. I've seen people do really cute chain stitch bows on things. For instance, you could do like crochet a little star and put it on, or like embroider little flowers, embroider their name. You could do duplicate stitch. Like you have a lot of options to make this a little bit more customized. And it's still like a pretty small, quick item, but you can make it feel really personal and cute. If you want to explore more with color work too, I have a headband pattern called the Halo headband that has like sparkles and hearts, and I can't remember, there might be other color charts in there too. I will say that 2-color double knitting takes a little bit longer than single color in my opinion. So if you're like really, really on a deadline, I would go with a single color headband and then maybe embroider on top if you have time at the end. And also you can like hold mohair with these, I think would be really cute and fuzzy. You could brush out the mohair shimmer afterwards if you think that someone would like a really like super fuzzy halo effect. One thing I've been thinking about doing also is making a headband and then either like duplicate stitching or doing 2-color double knitting and putting reflective yarn or like reflective thread on just one side, which I think is a really nice gift if you know someone who likes to take a lot of walks at night, because reflective yarn will like light up if a car headlights, for instance, are like shining on it. So I think that would be really cool. Some other like wearable accessories, you could do arm warmers or leg warmers if you're just like using somewhat chunky yarn, like maybe bulky or Aran weight, and you could do them in ribbing, and that way you like don't have to worry so much about whether or not it will fit them exactly, because ribbing is super stretchy. And like you can also personalize those, put a little ribbon on it or whatever you want that you think would like fit your gift recipient's personal style. Bags are also a pretty easy gift, and I like them because they're actually functional too. Like, can you ever have too many tote bags? I personally cannot. So doing a tote bag could be a pretty quick gift. If you have like a circular center knitting machine, you could just whip one out immediately. But you can also knit by hand. I have a tote bag pattern called the Summertime Tote Bag that came out of a gift that I gave someone, and then I ended up making a pattern for it. But I made a tote bag and then I embroidered her name on it to look like the tote bag from the Strand, which is like a super famous bookstore in New York, because this friend loves to read and she lives in New York. So I think that's like a good blank canvas where like, you know that someone will probably use a tote bag in their life and it doesn't have to literally physically fit their body like a garment. But you can still personalize it and make it really special for them. You could also make a really small bag too. I've seen a lot of cute bags. I'll like add some inspo photos in here. I've seen people make really cute ones actually out of ribbon. I think that seems like maybe easier for crocheting, but you could try it with knitting too. Or you could make kind of a chunky one. There's a lot of bag patterns out there that, or like if you're trying to think of something for your mom or someone like that, I feel like sort of like a linen-y tote bag would be a really nice, like classy gift that you could probably whip up somewhat quickly. The next category is jewelry, which I haven't really seen people suggest before that much, but I've made some I-cord necklaces, which like an I-cord is pretty quick to knit. And then you can add a little charm on it that you think fits your friend's style. I added some like little freshwater pearls to mine, and I've given some as gifts that were very well received, especially if you use a really nice material like silk or cashmere, or like something that just feels really good against your skin. This is also a nice scrap yarn project. And I think mohair can look really cute too, but you'd have to make sure it's a mohair that won't like feel itchy on someone's neck. But I like this because I think that charms are having a really big moment right now. And I just really like the idea of like picking out a charm specifically to match your friend and like their vibe, I guess. I think earrings would be really cute too, especially while bows have been so trendy and like ballet core and things like that. I'm doing a pop-up at a local business here, and I made some earrings that are little silk I-cord bows that I made and just put onto little dangling earring backs, and then also put onto hoop earrings. And I think that's just like a cute, I don't know, it has like a handmade touch to it. And especially if you like choose colors that you feel like your friend would like. But I don't know, I think there's something really pretty and interesting about the contrast of the metal and like the soft. I'm using mostly silk yarn for mine because I really like the drapiness to it. But you could do like something fuzzy and mohair too. And I think that's like very festive. Like if you do green or red or I don't know, a shimmery, silvery kind of thing for New Year's. I just think that could be really like a special kind of holiday jewelry to wear or give. And then on that note too, like hair bows, you could make a little set of hair bows in like a really nice fiber or a color that you think your friend would really love. I know these are very small gifts, but I think there's just something really nice, even if it's so small, to just give this little like handmade touch. Let's move on to home goods. So starting very small, like a little set of pot holders or trivets, or a little set of coasters. Like these are basically just like making a little swatch, and you could just make some little square ones and then tie them up with a little bow. And that's like just a cute little, very simple and easy, but like still has a handmade touch kind of gift to give someone who likes to host a lot, for instance. If you have a little bit more time or you're like a faster knitter, you could also try making a pillow, for instance, especially if you use like a bulkier yarn, that would go a lot faster. Again, if you have a little bit more time too, you could also try making a basket. I think that would be a really nice, thoughtful home good gift to give. And you could also play around with felting if you wanted to. I don't know, who couldn't use more baskets? Like I'm just looking around my room and I have like just piles of junk everywhere. I wish I had little baskets to just gather the junk into. It just makes your home look more organized. So if you're leaning into the real Christmas spirit of it, let's look at ornaments. So I think that giving an ornament for Christmas is a nice gift because it's like obviously thematically appropriate. But if you know that they have a Christmas tree that they like to add to, there's like nothing better than having a Christmas tree that's just stuffed full of sentimental ornaments that like you remember getting from different people. So I think that if you give people ornaments, it's just like a nice way for them to think about you in future Christmases and remember that you like love them enough to make them something. So starting with the most basic and most pressed for time, you could literally make a pom-pom and just like tie a loop on it with a bow, and that could be an ornament. Pom-poms are super, super easy to make, and you can make it with whatever yarn left over that you had. You can make a little set of them. You could also knit an ornament. So I found some really cute patterns for like stars and moons. There's also tons of little like stocking, mitten, and sweater ornament patterns out there. That would take more time, or at least it feels like it'd be a little more fiddly to me to make like a little sweater one, but that would be such a sweet gift, especially if you do a little bit of color work on it, or you could like duplicate stitch their initial on it. I also saw some little patterns for like little knit mushrooms, I guess if you have a cottagecore friend that you know or love. But honestly, think about like just about any shape or thing, like snowflakes, hearts, little houses, like anything that you can think of, there's just gonna be some cute little ornament pattern for it out there. So just search around and you'll probably find something that fits a theme, or like candy canes, really like anything. And this one isn't really knitting, but it used a little bit of yarn, and this is what I used to decorate my tree because I don't have any ornaments. So I just dried a ton of orange slices in the oven really slowly on like, I think 200 degrees for a few hours. And then I used a tapestry needle to just put a little bit of a linen cotton yarn through it and tied it in a bow. And then I put those all over my tree as ornaments. I've seen a lot of like DIY orange garlands online, which I also use some for that, and they're so cute. But the ornaments are especially nice because if you put them right in front of the lights on your tree, they kind of like glow from within because the orange becomes really translucent, and it gives this like really, really warm, lovely, beautiful effect. That's something that probably a lot of people who don't DIY wouldn't necessarily think of. And that's super cheap because you can just buy an orange at the grocery store. What could that cost? Like $10? And then use some scrap yarn that you have for the actual bow part. And then some sort of miscellaneous things I think would be really nice. You could make like a little tiny pouch. There's this free pattern called the scrap bag that just makes almost like a tiny gift pouch. And I think that's really nice, especially if you're going to be giving something else that's small, to just knit this little thing and have your other little gift inside of it. But like, I use a lot of little pouches to like store my jewelry and things like that. And I just feel like, I don't know, it's kind of like with home decor baskets or something. Like I could never have too many little tiny containers to manage my ever expanding mess of like trinkets and jewelry and stuff. Another thing you could do just with scrap yarn, if you have a friend who really loves to read, you could knit a little bookmark. I would use like fingering or lace weight yarn for this, but I made one as just a little way to practice out some lace technique. I think that lace is really nice for it, especially because it just feels a little bit special and fancy, especially if you like also pick up a book from the used bookstore that you think they'd really like and you put this little handmade bookmark in it. I think that's just a really sweet touch. You could also, sorry that I keep saying literally just give your friends a swatch, but you could also knit a really cute little color work swatch that they could put up on their wall, that they could pin to a jacket that they love to wear. Like you could almost treat it like a little tapestry wall hanging, like just piece of art, or you could treat it like a little patch if someone likes to sort of customize their clothing like that. Like I made a bunch of swatches for a tarot card sweater that I made, and I just swatched the word star to see like how it would look in that yarn. But I ended up pinning it up on my mood board in my office, and I think it's really cute and it makes me happy when I see it. So you could like do their name, or you could do a little like artwork, drawing, illustration. There's a lot of really cute things that people make out there. You could find a chart that someone else has already made, or you could use graph paper or stitch fiddle, which is kind of like online graph paper, to make your own. I don't know, I think there's something really appealing about having this image that is actually made out of yarn. It's like pixel art, but soft, I guess. And I think there's something kind of nice about like, a lot of the things that I mentioned are functional objects. I think there's something nice and frivolous about just like, look, I just like made you a small piece of fiber art because I love you. is nice. Okay, the last bonus category is just gift wrapping. I've like put a bunch of yarn pom-poms as part of my gift wrapping before, or like used yarn to make a bow for it. I just think that's cute, and if you already have a bunch of yarn laying around, I think that the wrapping is like an underrated part of the gift experience in my opinion, and I think especially like I only ever make my own wrapping at this point. I just use like a grocery bag or whatever scrap paper I have laying around, and you can wrap it and you can draw on it if you want to, like write them little custom notes, write the card right on the wrapping paper, whatever you want. And then you can add a little yarn accent. Like imagine you add a couple little pom-poms on the outside of the wrapping, and you can tell them as they unwrap it, like, hey, by the way, you can just take those off and then hang them on your tree. They're also ornaments. That would be really cool. So I hope this gave you like a little bit of inspiration and made you feel a little bit relieved that it's not too late for you to still make some of your own gifts. I think that if you have any handmade element in a gift, it just adds like a nice personal touch. And even if you only make one tiny little thing, just like write a heartfelt card or letter about why you love them. And that is the main gift in my opinion, but I'm a words of affirmation girly. So, but anyway, it's not too late, and I need to like get started on some of these myself for my gifts this year. So don't get stressed out about whatever deadlines. You can always just give them a swatch. So like imagine you're like, here's a swatch of a pom-pom that I didn't have time to make you. But anyway, okay, have fun. I hope you don't feel stressed out, and like obviously everything except for the ornaments you could use for any gift occasion that you want. I've given like various things on this list as birthday gifts. And I don't know if I said this at any point, but I'm Tamara. Thanks for watching. I'm a knitwear designer, and consider following along and subscribing if you like knitting content and inspiration videos.